My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Derek's voice on the other end was cold, calculating. I know where you work, Emma. I know where you live. And I know about the kid. My heart stopped. How did he find out about Lily? I'd kept her hidden for 4 years, moved 3 times, changed my number twice. The restaurant's back door crashed open behind me, and I spun around, dropping my phone. Derek stood there, his eyes dark with rage. Did you really think you could hide from me forever? Before I could scream, a hand gripped his shoulder. Strong, authoritative. The lady seems uncomfortable. The voice was smooth as silk, dangerous as a blade. I looked up and froze. The man who had just walked in was unlike anyone I'd ever seen. Tall, powerfully built, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my entire year's rent. But it was his eyes that stopped my breath. Cold gray steel that promised violence. This doesn't concern you, Derek snarled. The stranger smiled. It wasn't friendly. Everything in this city concerns me. If you want to know how a waitress like me ended up under the protection of the most dangerous man in New York, subscribe below and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It really helps me keep bringing you these stories. Now, let me take you back to where this all started. 3 months earlier, my life was simple. Exhausting, but simple. I woke up at 5 a.m., got Lily ready, dropped her at Mrs. Rodriguez's apartment, then rushed to my first job cleaning office buildings downtown. By noon, I'd be at Chen's Diner, serving lunch until 3 p.m. Then I'd sprint to the upscale Italian restaurant, Bella Notte, where I worked as a waitress until midnight. I never complained. Not when my feet ached so badly I could barely stand. Not when I counted coins to buy Lily's medicine. Not when I ate the customers' leftovers because I couldn't afford my own meal. This was the price of freedom. The price of escaping Derek 2 years ago, when I found out I was pregnant and knew I had to run. That Friday night at Bella Notte changed everything. Table 7, Emma. VIP section. Mrs. Chen, the owner, looked nervous. These men, they're important. Be very careful. My stomach tightened. The VIP section was always reserved for people with money and power, the kind of people who made me invisible. I smoothed down my black uniform, grabbed my notepad, and walked through the velvet curtain. The private dining room was dimly lit, all dark wood and leather. 4 men sat around the table, but my eyes immediately locked on one. He sat at the head, his presence filling the entire space. Even seated, I could tell he was tall, built like he could break someone in half without effort. His black suit was perfectly tailored, his white shirt unbuttoned at the collar, revealing the edge of a tattoo on his neck. His dark hair was styled back, and his gray eyes, God, those eyes swept over me like a physical touch. I felt my cheeks burn. Get it together, Emma. He's a customer. Just a customer. Good evening, gentlemen. Can I start you with drinks? My voice came out steadier than I felt. Brunello di Montalcino, 2015, he said without looking at the wine menu. His voice was deep, accented. Italian. Not the fake Italian some Americans put on. Real. E portaci dell'acqua frizzante. My body moved on autopilot. Years of hiding my past made me respond without thinking. Subito, signore. Preferisce il Brunello decantato. The room went silent. 4 pairs of eyes locked on me. The man at the head of the table leaned forward slowly, his gaze intense. You speak Italian. It wasn't a question. It was an observation that felt like an accusation. My heart hammered. Stupid. 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 I'd blown my cover of being just another struggling American waitress. I learned some in school, I lied, heat creeping up my neck. In truth, my mother was Italian, taught me the language before she died, but I never told anyone that. It was part of the life I left behind. Some. He repeated the word like he was tasting it, deciding if it was true. His eyes never left mine. What's your name? Emma, sir. Emma. The way he said my name with that Italian accent made something flutter in my chest. I'm Lorenzo. Lorenzo Vitale. The name meant nothing to me then. I nodded, trying to ignore how his stare made my skin feel too hot. I'll get your wine, Mr. Vitale. I practically ran to the wine cellar, my hands shaking as I selected the bottle. What was wrong with me? I'd served hundreds of handsome men, but something about Lorenzo Vitale made me feel exposed, like he could see through all my carefully constructed walls. When I returned with the wine, he was alone. The other men had disappeared. They had business elsewhere, he said, as if reading my confusion. He gestured to the chair beside him. Sit. I can't. I'm working. Sit, Emma. Not a request. A command. But somehow not harsh. Just certain. Like he was used to being obeyed. My legs folded before my brain caught up. I sat, clutching the wine bottle. Lorenzo took it from my hands, his fingers brushing mine. The contact sent electricity up my arm. He poured 2 glasses with practiced ease, then slid one toward me. I can't drink on shift, I protested weakly. 1 sip won't hurt. His eyes challenged me. Unless you're afraid. I don't know what possessed me. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was the way he looked at me. Not through me, like most rich men did, but at me, like I mattered. I took the glass and sipped. The wine was incredible. Rich, complex, probably worth more than my monthly rent. So, Lorenzo leaned back, studying me with those piercing gray eyes. Where did you really learn Italian? I told you. Don't lie to me, Emma. His voice was soft, but there was steel underneath. I can tell when someone's lying. You didn't learn that accent in a classroom. You learned it at home, from family. My throat tightened. My mother, she was from Tuscany, but she died when I was 16. Something flickered in his expression. Not pity, something deeper. Understanding, maybe. And your father? Gone before I was born. I set down the wine glass, suddenly uncomfortable with how much I was sharing. Mr. Vitale, I really should... Call me Lorenzo. Lorenzo, I corrected, the name feeling strange on my tongue. I need to get back to work. He reached out, and my breath caught. But he simply adjusted the collar of my uniform, his fingers grazing my neck. The touch was barely there, but it burned. You work too hard, he said quietly. I can see it, the exhaustion in your eyes. When did you last sleep a full night? The observation was too accurate, too intimate. I stood abruptly, putting distance between us. I should go. Emma. The way he said my name stopped me at the curtain. I turned back. Lorenzo was standing now, all 6 feet plus of dangerous elegance. You'll see me again. It sounded like a promise, or a warning. I fled back to the safety of the kitchen, my heart racing. Mrs. Chen gave me a strange look but said nothing. The rest of my shift passed in a blur. At midnight, I changed out of my uniform, grabbed my backpack, and headed for the back exit. The October air was cold, and I wrapped my thin jacket tighter. The subway would take 40 minutes to get home, then another early morning tomorrow. I was halfway down the alley when I heard the footsteps behind me. My blood turned to ice. I'd heard these footsteps before, in nightmares. Heavy, purposeful, angry. Emma. No. No, no, no. I turned slowly. Derek Mitchell stood at the mouth of the alley, silhouetted by the streetlight. My ex-boyfriend. The man I'd fled from 2 years ago. The man who'd put bruises on my arms and terror in my heart. Did you think I wouldn't find you? He smiled, and it was the smile that used to make me flinch. Did you really think you could just disappear? My phone. Where was my phone? I reached into my pocket with trembling fingers, but Derek was faster. He lunged forward, grabbed my wrist, twisted it until I cried out. The phone clattered to the ground. We need to talk, he said, his breath hot on my face. The smell of whiskey was overwhelming. You and me, about what you stole from me. I didn't steal anything, I gasped, trying to pull away. His grip tightened, fingers digging into my skin hard enough to bruise. Let me go, Derek. You stole 2 years of my life. His voice rose, echoing off the brick walls. 2 years of searching. Do you know what that cost me? And then I find out you have a kid? My kid? My heart stopped. Oh God. Oh God. He knew about Lily. She's not yours, I said, desperate, panicked. It was a lie. Lily had his eyes, his smile, but I'd die before I let him near her. Derek's face twisted with rage. His hand rose, and I knew what was coming. I'd seen this look before, right before. I suggest you let her go. The voice cut through the night like a knife. Cold, lethal, absolutely calm. Derek froze, his hand still raised. We both turned. Lorenzo Vitale stood at the entrance of the alley, his tall frame blocking the streetlight. He wasn't alone. 2 massive men in black suits flanked him, their expressions blank, but their presence screaming danger. This is private, Derek snarled, but I heard the uncertainty in his voice. Even drunk, even angry, he recognized predators when he saw them. Lorenzo took a step forward. Just one, but Derek's grip on me loosened. There's nothing private about a man putting his hands on a woman who doesn't want them there. Lorenzo's voice was so quiet I had to strain to hear it. That somehow made it more terrifying. Let her go. Who the fuck are you? Lorenzo smiled. It was the most dangerous thing I'd ever seen. I'm the man who's going to break every bone in your hand if you don't release her in the next 3 seconds. 1. You don't scare me. 2. Derek's hand tightened on my wrist reflexively. I whimpered. Lorenzo moved so fast I barely saw it. 1 second he was 5 feet away. The next his hand was on Derek's throat, slamming him against the brick wall. The impact shook the alley. Derek's eyes bulged. His grip on me released completely. I wasn't finished counting, Lorenzo said pleasantly, as if he were commenting on the weather. But you hurt her again, so we're done with warnings. One of the men in suits stepped forward, grabbed my arm, gently, carefully, and pulled me away from Derek. I stumbled, my legs shaking so badly I nearly fell. Strong hands caught me, the other bodyguard, steadying me. Look at me, Lorenzo said to Derek. Look at me. When Derek's terrified eyes focused on him, Lorenzo continued, Do you know who I am? Derek shook his head frantically. No? Allow me to introduce myself properly. I'm Lorenzo Vitale. This is my city. Every restaurant, every bar, every corner where people like you think you can hurt women. That's mine. And she, he gestured toward me without taking his eyes off Derek, is under my protection now. Which means if you come near her again, if you call her, if you even think her name too loudly, I'll know. And I'll find you. Do you understand? Yes. Yes, what? Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Vitale. Lorenzo released him, and Derek collapsed to the ground, gasping. Good. Now get the fuck out of my sight before I change my mind about letting you walk away. Derek scrambled to his feet and ran. Actually ran, disappearing into the night like the coward he was. The alley fell silent except for my ragged breathing. I couldn't stop shaking. My wrist throbbed where Derek had grabbed it. Lorenzo turned to me, and his expression shifted. The cold, lethal mask dropped, replaced by something almost gentle. Emma, are you hurt? I opened my mouth to answer, but nothing came out. The adrenaline was leaving my body, replaced by shock. My knees buckled. Lorenzo caught me before I hit the ground, lifting me effortlessly into his arms. I've got you, he murmured. You're safe now. Lily, I gasped. My daughter. He knows about her. He won't touch her. Lorenzo's voice was absolute certainty. Tony, send men to her address. Now. 24-hour protection. How do you... I started to ask how he knew where I lived, but the world was tilting. Later, Lorenzo said. Right now you need medical attention. No hospitals, I said quickly. Too expensive. I'm fine. Just let me... You're not fine. Your wrist is already swelling. He carried me toward a black SUV that had appeared at the alley entrance. And you're going to pass out in about 30 seconds. He was right. The edges of my vision were darkening. Lily will be protected. I promise. He set me gently in the back seat, sliding in beside me. His arm wrapped around my shoulders, supporting me. Sleep, Emma. When you wake up, we'll talk. I wanted to protest. I wanted to ask 1,000 questions. But his warmth, his solid presence, the lingering adrenaline, it all crashed over me at once. The last thing I remembered was the smell of his cologne, expensive, masculine, and the feeling of safety for the first time in years. I woke up in a bed softer than clouds. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming. The ceiling above me was ornate, painted with Renaissance-style frescoes. Silk curtains draped around the bed. Golden morning light streamed through massive windows. Then reality crashed back. Derek, the alley, Lorenzo. I sat up too fast, and the room spun. My wrist was bandaged professionally, an ice pack attached with medical tape. I was wearing clothes that weren't mine, expensive silk pajamas that felt like water against my skin. Oh God, where was I? And who had changed my clothes? The door opened. A woman in her 50s entered carrying a tray. Good, you're awake. Mr. Vitale was worried. Where am I? My voice came out hoarse. The Vitale estate. She set the tray on the nightstand. Fresh fruit, pastries, coffee that smelled like heaven. I'm Maria, the housekeeper. Don't worry, I'm the one who changed you and tended your wrist. Nothing improper. The Vitale estate. I was in Lorenzo's house. Or mansion, more accurately. My daughter. Safe and sound with Mrs. Rodriguez. Mr. Vitale's men have been watching the building all night. No one's come near her. Maria smiled warmly. He thought you'd ask about her first thing. Eat something. You look half-starved. She left before I could ask more questions. I grabbed the phone on the nightstand. Yes, a phone in the guest room, and called Mrs. Rodriguez with shaking hands. Emma, thank God. Her voice was relieved. I've been so worried. These very large men showed up last night, said they were protecting Lily. Scared me half to death until one of them showed me your picture and said you sent them. Is Lily okay? Fast asleep. Doesn't know anything happened. These men, they're very polite. But Emma, what's going on? I'll explain later. Keep her home from preschool today, okay? I'll come get her soon. After hanging up, I forced myself to eat. The food was incredible, but I could barely taste it. My mind was racing. Why had Lorenzo helped me? What did he want in return? Men like him, powerful, dangerous men, never did anything without a price. I needed to leave. Now, before whatever debt I owed became too large to pay. I found my clothes, cleaned and pressed, folded on a chair. As I dressed, I caught my reflection in the full-length mirror. Dark circles under my eyes, my wrist bandaged, the hollow look of someone who'd been running too long. I slipped out of the room into a hallway that looked like a museum. Marble floors, original artwork on the walls. This wasn't just money. This was generational wealth. Lost, Kara? I jumped. Lorenzo leaned against a door frame down the hall, arms crossed. He wore black slacks and a white dress shirt, unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. Even casual, he looked devastating. I need to leave, I said. Thank you for last night, but I can't what? Accept help? He pushed off the frame, walking toward me with that predatory grace. Can't let someone protect you? I don't need protection. The lie tasted bitter. Lorenzo stopped inches away, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. Your ex-boyfriend knows about your daughter. He's angry, drunk, and violent. You work 3 jobs and sleep maybe 4 hours a night. You can barely afford food. And you don't need protection? Each word was a truth I'd been denying. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. What do you want from me? His expression softened. Let me show you something. He led me through the mansion to a study lined with books. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a private garden. Lorenzo walked to the desk, picked up a folder, and handed it to me. I opened it. My breath caught. Photos, reports, documentation. Derek's arrest record. Assault, harassment, violation of restraining orders. Restraining orders I didn't know existed because they were filed by other women. 3 other women. I had my people research him last night, Lorenzo said quietly. He's done this before, Emma. Multiple times. And he's escalating. My hands shook. Other women. He'd hurt other women, and they'd tried to stop him legally. It hadn't worked. The police can't protect you 24/7. Can't protect Lily when she's at preschool, or Mrs. Rodriguez when she's at the grocery store. The legal system failed these women. He pointed at the photos. I won't let it fail you. Why? The question burst from me. Why do you care? You don't even know me. Lorenzo was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough with memory. I had a sister. Younger. Beautiful. Smart. She fell in love with the wrong man. A man like your Derek. He convinced her to keep his violence secret. Said he'd change. She believed him. Past tense. Had. My heart clenched. She died 2 years ago. He pushed her down the stairs during a fight. By the time I found her, he stopped, jaw tight. I was too late. The pain in his eyes was raw. Real. This wasn't a manipulation. This was grief. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't be sorry. Be smart. He took a step closer. Let me help you. I have the resources, the power to keep you and Lily safe. Derek won't come near you again. And what do you want in return? There had to be a price. There always was. Lorenzo reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. He brushed a strand of hair from my face, his touch feather light. Have dinner with me. Tonight. Here. Just conversation. No strings. No obligations beyond that. That wasn't what I expected. That's it? Dinner? That's it. His smile was small, almost shy, incongruous on a man who'd nearly killed someone with his bare hands last night. I want to know you, Emma. The real you. not the exhausted waitress hiding behind survival. I want to hear you speak Italian with that beautiful accent. I want to know what makes you smile. Something warm bloomed in my chest. Something dangerous and hopeful and terrifying. One dinner, I agreed. One dinner, he repeated. But the way his eyes held mine suggested we both knew it would be more than that. He drove me home himself, home to the shabby apartment building that felt even shabbier after seeing his estate. But Lorenzo didn't comment. He walked me to Mrs. Rodriguez's door, nodded politely when I introduced him, and pressed his business card into my hand. Call if you need anything. Anything at all. My men will be watching. True to his word, I spotted 2 black SUVs parked strategically on the street. Subtle but present. When I finally held Lily, my beautiful, oblivious daughter, the reality of last night crashed over me. Derek knew. The secret I'd kept for 4 years was out, and now I was tied to Lorenzo Vitale, a man whose very name made people's faces pale. But as I looked at his card, at the elegant script of his phone number, I couldn't shake the memory of how safe I'd felt in his arms. That evening, I stood in front of my closet. Pathetic, really. Just a few worn dresses, trying to find something appropriate for dinner with a Mafia boss. The nicest thing I owned was a simple black dress I'd bought at a thrift store for job interviews. A knock on the door. I opened it to find a delivery man holding boxes. Designer boxes. Delivery for Emma Carter. I didn't order anything. Prepaid, ma'am. He set them inside and left. I opened the first box with shaking hands. Inside was a dress. Midnight blue, elegant, with a label I'd only seen in magazine advertisements. The second box contained shoes. The third, a coat. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, but I knew who it was. You deserve to feel beautiful. See you at 7. L. I should have been angry. Should have seen this as controlling, presumptuous. But standing there, holding a dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent, all I felt was seen. Like someone had noticed not just my poverty, but my dignity. At 6:45, a black car arrived. The same driver from last night, Tony, who greeted me with unexpected warmth. You look lovely, Miss Carter. The Vitale estate at night was magical. Lights twinkled in the garden. Music drifted from inside. Tony led me not to a dining room, but to the garden itself, where a table for 2 had been set under strings of lights. Lorenzo stood when he saw me. He wore a full suit now, black and perfectly tailored, but that white shirt was still unbuttoned at the collar, revealing the edge of his tattoo. His eyes swept over me, and something fierce and hungry flashed in them. Sei bellissima, he murmured. You're beautiful. Grazie, I replied, then added in English, the dress is too much. It's not enough. He pulled out my chair. Such an old-fashioned gesture. Nothing would be enough. Dinner was incredible. Course after course, prepared by his personal chef. But more incredible was the conversation. Lorenzo asked about my mother, about growing up, about my dreams before life got hard. He shared stories about Sicily, about his own mother, also gone, about learning the family business. Did you always want this? I asked, gesturing vaguely at the mansion, the power, the Mafia life. His smile was bitter. No, I wanted to be an architect, design buildings, create beauty. He poured more wine. But my father died when I was 22. Someone had to take over. Someone had to protect the family. And now? Now I'm very good at what I do. But sometimes I wonder what I gave up. His eyes met mine. Until last night I thought I knew. Then I saw you in that alley, and something in me just woke up. My heart hammered. Lorenzo, I know this is fast. I know you have every reason not to trust me. But Emma, I haven't felt this alive in years. The way you speak Italian. The way you look at me like I'm just a man, not a title. The strength in you. Working 3 jobs. Raising a daughter alone. Surviving an abuser. You're remarkable. I'm ordinary, I protested. No. He reached across the table, took my hand. You're extraordinary. And I want the chance to prove that you deserve extraordinary things. The touch of his hand sent warmth through my entire body. This was dangerous. This was impossible. I was a broke single mother, and he was him. But when he stood and held out his hand, when the music from inside drifted louder, I took it. He pulled me close, and we danced in the garden under the lights. His hand on my waist burned through the dress. Our bodies fit together perfectly, like we'd been designed for this. Emma, he whispered against my hair. Tell me to stop. Tell me this is crazy, and I'll take you home. I'll still protect you and Lily. No strings. I should have said stop. But instead, I tilted my face up to his. Don't stop. His eyes darkened. Then his lips were on mine, and the world exploded. The kiss was gentle at first, questioning. When I kissed him back, it deepened. His hand cupped my face, tilted it for better access. My fingers gripped his jacket, pulling him closer. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, Lorenzo rested his forehead against mine. You're mine tonight, he whispered in Italian. Sei mia stasera. And God help me. I wanted to be. The next 3 weeks were a dream. Lorenzo was true to his word. Derek didn't come near me. In fact, Derek had apparently left the state entirely. Lorenzo's people made it very clear he wasn't welcome in New York anymore. But more than that, Lorenzo courted me. Actually courted me, like something from a movie. Flowers delivered to the restaurant. Lunch breaks where he'd show up and take me to incredible places. Evenings where I'd leave Lily with Mrs. Rodriguez, who was now being paid generously as Lily's official nanny, and spend hours talking with Lorenzo about everything and nothing. He never pushed for more than kisses, even though I could feel the restraint in his body. He was waiting for me to be ready, respecting my pace. I was falling for him, hard and fast and terrifyingly deep. Mrs. Chen was thrilled. She'd figured out who Lorenzo was, and having the Vitale boss as a regular customer had elevated her restaurant's status. She cut my hours and raised my pay, insisting I deserved to spend time with that handsome man. I'd even brought Lily to meet him once, terrified of his reaction. But Lorenzo had been incredible, getting down on her level, asking about her favorite dolls, speaking to her in both English and gentle Italian. Lily had been enchanted. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. I should have known it couldn't last. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I'd gone to pick Lily up from preschool early for a doctor's appointment, but when I arrived, the teacher looked confused. Lily already left, Miss Carter. Her father picked her up about an hour ago. The world stopped. Her father. The words came out strangled. What father? The man you put on the authorized pickup list last week? Mr. Mitchell? Derek. Oh, God. Derek had my baby. I ran to the street, fumbling for my phone. Lorenzo answered on the first ring. Emma? He has her. I could barely breathe. Derek has Lily. He took her from preschool. Where are you? Lorenzo's voice went deadly calm. Outside Little Stars preschool on... Don't move. I'm 3 minutes away. He arrived in 2. The SUV screeched to a stop, and Lorenzo jumped out. One look at my face, and he pulled me into his arms. We'll find her, he said. I promise you, Emma. We'll find her. How? He could be anywhere. I couldn't finish the sentence. Couldn't think about what Derek might do. Lorenzo pulled out his phone, barked orders in rapid Italian. Within seconds, his men were mobilizing. He turned to me. Does Derek have any places he might go? Family? Friends? I tried to think through the panic. His brother. He has a brother in Queens. An apartment near the old factory district. Address? I gave it to him. Lorenzo relayed it immediately. His phone rang. Marco, his brother. A rapid conversation in Italian. Then Lorenzo's eyes went cold. I found him. He's there. With Lily. Is she? She's safe. Scared, but safe. My men have the building surrounded. He cupped my face. Emma, listen to me. I need you to stay in the car. Can you do that? No. She's my daughter. Which is why you need to trust me. Derek is desperate. Dangerous. If he sees you, he might... Lorenzo's jaw tightened. Let me handle this. Please. Everything in me screamed to go, but I saw the truth in his eyes. This was his world. Violence, danger, strategy. He knew how to navigate it without casualties. Bring her back, I whispered. I will. I swear on my sister's grave. I will bring your daughter back to you. He kissed me once, hard and desperate. Then he was gone, disappearing into another SUV with 4 of his men. The wait was agony. Tony stayed with me, silent and steady. 15 minutes felt like 15 hours. Then my phone rang. Lorenzo. Emma. Is she safe? She's asking for you. We're coming back now. The sob that tore from me was relief and residual terror. Derek won't be bothering anyone ever again. The finality in his voice told me everything I needed to know. I didn't ask for details. I didn't want to know. 20 minutes later, the SUV pulled up. The door opened, and Lily jumped out, running to me. I caught her, fell to my knees, held her so tight. Mama, there was a bad man, but the nice man with the cool cars came and got me. I know, baby, I know. You're safe now. Lorenzo approached slowly, giving us space. When I looked up at him, his face was carefully blank, but his eyes held everything. Fear that he'd been too late, relief that he wasn't, and something deeper. Love. That night I couldn't bring myself to go back to my apartment. Lorenzo didn't even suggest it. He took us to the estate, set Lily up in a room fit for a princess, and held me while I fell apart. He could have hurt her. I sobbed into his chest. He could have, but he didn't. She's safe. You're safe. And I will never, ever let anyone threaten either of you again. I pulled back to look at him. What did you do to Derek? What needed to be done? His expression was hard. He won't be found, Emma. And if by some miracle he is, the evidence will point to his involvement with drug trafficking that has nothing to do with us. He's gone. I should have been horrified, should have been appalled by the casual admission of murder, but all I felt was relief and gratitude. Thank you, I whispered. Lorenzo's thumb brushed away my tears. Don't thank me for protecting what's mine. Yours? Yes. His voice was rough with emotion. You and Lily, you're mine now. If you'll have me, I know this is fast. I know this is crazy. I know I'm not the safe choice or the sane choice. But Emma, I love you. I think I loved you from the moment you spoke Italian in that restaurant. And I will spend every day of my life making sure you never work 3 jobs again. Never go hungry again. Never fear again. My heart was so full it hurt. I love you too. God help me. I love you. His kiss was everything. Promise and passion and permanence. The next morning, over breakfast, Lorenzo made his proposition official. Marry me. I nearly choked on my coffee. Lily, coloring at the table, looked up with interest. What? Marry me, Emma. I want you and Lily here, permanently. I want to be her father. I want to wake up to you every morning. I want, he smiled, to hear you speak Italian when you think no one's listening. Lorenzo, this is insane. We've known each other less than a month. I don't care. He took my hand. When you know, you know. And I know, don't you? I did. Against all logic. Against all reason. I knew. Yes, I whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Lily squealed. Is the nice man going to be my daddy? Lorenzo looked at her, and his eyes were suspiciously bright. If you'll let me, princess. She launched herself at him, and he caught her, holding her like she was precious, which to him she was. My daughter, my husband-to-be, my impossible, dangerous, beautiful new life. 3 years later, I stand at the window of our bedroom. Ours. Even after all this time, I marvel at that. Watching Lily play in the garden with her little brother, Marco Jr. Lorenzo insisted on naming him after his brother, who'd become Lily's favorite uncle. Life has transformed in ways I couldn't have imagined. I finished my college degree, Italian literature, of course, and now work part-time as a translator for Lorenzo's legitimate business ventures. He's been slowly transitioning the family away from purely criminal enterprises, using his power for protection and business, rather than violence. What are you thinking about, Cara? Lorenzo's arms wrap around me from behind, his chin resting on my head. About how 3 years ago, I was terrified in an alley, and now I'm here, with you, with our family. He turns me in his arms, those gray eyes still making my heart race. Regrets? Not a single one. Even though you married a dangerous man? I smile, reaching up to touch the tattoo on his neck. My name, in elegant script, added on our wedding day. Especially because I married a dangerous man, one who saved me, who loves our daughter like his own, who gave me a life I never dreamed possible. Sei la mia vita, he murmurs. You're my life. E tu sei la mia, I reply. And you're mine. Lily's voice floats up from the garden. Mama, Papa, come play. Lorenzo grins, that rare, genuine smile he only shows with us. Come on, Mrs. Vitale. Our princess commands. As we head down to the garden, I think about that terrified woman in the restaurant who accidentally spoke Italian to a stranger, about how one moment of truth changed everything. Some people might call what Lorenzo and I have dangerous, forbidden, too fast, but I call it fate, and I wouldn't change a single second. Thank you so much for following my story to the very end. If it touched your heart in any way, please leave a like below and share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll be back soon with more stories. Until next time, take care of your heart and never be afraid to let the right person protect it.